From the 915 to H-Town, from the Panhandle Plains to the Valley, and everywhere in between, this is the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Join me, Hector Cano, as we cover the Texas high school club and college soccer landscape, along with an inside look at the college soccer recruiting scene. The 50/50 Podcast is a platform about the people and for the people who are dedicated to the beautiful game. Here we go. It is Season 6, Episode 1 of Inside Texas High School Soccer. I am your host, Coach Hector Cano, joined by the lovely Vanna White of Inside Texas High School. No, I'm not gonna do you like that this time. I am by the host my co-host. I am with my co-host, the Obi-Wan Kenobi of Texas High School Soccer, Mr. Rafa Casarena. Coach, how are you, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm surviving. I made it back from another year in Tasco, and Galveston. Cannot complain. It was awesome. It was a great environment, great time. Loved it, and glad to be back. Always fun when we do these this first episode back after the convention, between all the plugging everything back in, running audio tests, running video tests, and then still something always happens, something always fails inevitably, but we caught it in time. So here we are, just a few minutes late, but thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Rafa, what's going on, my man?
Just here live from Del Rio, Texas, for the holidays.
Awesome. I see the, what did I call it? The quinceañera backdrop right there. Right.
Yep.
Awesome. So, hey, tell me, so, we got to start. So we started a new tradition, right? Last year, late in the 50/50 podcast. But we started, whenever we start an episode, call it, you remember what you're watching, what you're listening to, what you're reading, something that maybe you recently have been watching, you binge watched, maybe you're listening to a particular podcast, or maybe you're on a book, an awesome book. What do you got going on right
now? Lately, just as far as podcast, I know.
You're breaking up on us.
Can you hear me?
Your signal might be a little low there. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, just listen to the 210 Radio podcast and listen to that.
I think you might need to see if you can if you need to reboot your signal. As soon as you started speaking, your signal went down again.
Let me reboot it.
All right. And while Rafa reboots, we're going to go ahead. We're going to bring in our guest that we wanted to have join us today. He is Mr. Kevin Gomez of Yellow City Soccer out in the Panhandle area. Coach, how are you?
Well, I'm not a coach, but
yeah, you're right. So, hey, I'll just call you Hey You. How are you? How about that?
No, I just don't want to take that term lightly, because coaches really do a lot.
I appreciate the fact that you do that, because there's a lot of people that are called coach and don't ever correct that. So I appreciate that you do that. But sorry, I'm still in Rafa mode here. So how are you?
I'm doing great. Just getting back in the groove of Texas high school soccer. It's been a long wait, but it's well worth it.
Yeah, right. So what's new? What's going on? I know you've been on a little bit of a hiatus, been a little quiet up there. So I know you were covering club a little bit in college, a little bit up in your area, your neck of the woods, West Texas A&M. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think I tried to take on a little bit too much, and I had to slow down with work and working on my engineering license and having a toddler at home. So, but yeah, just try to keep up a little bit with the club soccer and mostly West Texas A&M soccer. Unfortunately, both the girls and the boys didn't have a great season this year, and didn't have a good playoff run for the boys. The girls didn't make it, but I'm hoping to solidify this year the high school stuff, and then hopefully next year get the club and the college side of things a little bit more coverage.
Yeah, for sure. Those toddlers, man, I'm telling you, they suck. They're so awesome, but they'll suck the life out of you too. Um, so what has been so aside from a couple of the many things you just mentioned, what else has been new? What can you share? What has you kind of excited? What's going on in terms of the high schools as we start getting ramped up in the high school soccer world in your neck of the woods?
Well, there's some significant changes in coaching and 4A, and the boys and girls sides for Perryton. They have completely new coaches, so that's got me excited. And then the that 4A boys district is just so uh, uncertain with how it's gonna play out. I really don't have a favorite for district champion there. Um, and then just obviously the big news at the end of last year was the Lady Raiders winning state, first Panhandle team to win state. So I'm excited to continue the D1 D2 split because that helps really all these West Texas teams a lot.
Gotcha. And hey, I don't. Did you pick? I don't think you picked them. I think you were higher on the Amarillo, right? Not to bring up old stuff, but I
No,
think
no, yeah,
right. I think you were high on them, right? But I think the one you're kind of ride or die. I think was Amarillo, right?
that's correct.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you feel about those two particular squads this year, going into this year?
Well, Amarillo High, they're not losing that many seniors, so I think they're still going to be able to build off of last year and hopefully break through a little bit further into playoffs than they have the last few years. You know, it's been a struggle for them.
Right.
And then it's going to be twice as hard for Randall, really, because they have the talent, but now they have the target in their back. So
Oh, yeah, that's such a great point. And the only thing I've spoken so many coaches, right, that I've spoken with in terms of their return season after a state title is that's usually what they share, right? It's not so much that you're dealing with a target on your back, but it's just as hard as it is to win a state title, it's even harder to defend it and repeat, right? So and then again, it just kind of depends on who you have returning as well. So it just can kind of complicate the issue a little bit. So, all right, looks like we might have Rafa back in. My man, Rafa,
Yeah,
can you
yeah,
hear me?
hey, Rafa.
I can hear you. Sorry, what's
There
going
you
on,
go.
Kevin?
There you go.
Yeah,
I
the,
think we're.
the
I
tower,
think
the towers here in Del Rio, they're not great.
I'm telling you, it's we gotta pray to the superpowers of the quinceañera backdrop, man. We're good. We're good. Glad to have you back. So Kevin was just kind of bring us up to speed on what's been new with him, what's going on, who he's big on. So now that we have everybody, want to go ahead and bring Rafa in as well, and want to share really quick. I want to pivot here for a second. So got to make sure I share that this episode is brought to you by Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com. She's our go-to realtor for military and veteran families in Central Texas. With a cover and move, I got your six approach. You focus on the move while she handles the contracts, deadlines, and all of the details. Want a realtor who works like you and fights for you? Then visit TexasVeteranRealtor.com for your free, no pressure strategy session. Again, that's Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com. All right, Kevin. So, tell us who going into last year, I know you kind of had you were high on some programs, right? Who is it this year, right? One or two. If you needed to pick one or two on the boys' side, one or two on the girls' side, who are you? I'm not going to say not a dark horse or maybe someone to watch that isn't being spoken that people aren't necessarily high on. That you like your thoughts, the intel that you're gathering, coaches maybe you've spoken with. Who do you like?
On the boys' side, Lubbock Monterey, obviously, I feel like they've been strong the last few years, but still have that ability to build off on that. Sorry about that. I've got a crazy dog over here. Um, and then uh, and then 4A, Dumas Boys and West Plains. Um, those are the two that I'm really in between right now. Um, and just because Dumas, the culture there seems to be changing, and then West Plains Coach Aguillon, such a great coach, and when you give him time with the soccer program, he tends to do great things. Uh, on the girls' side, I think I'm I've been really excited the last few years about Tiscosa, just with Coach Sharp there. I think
Right, right, right.
he's a great coach, and
Done a great job there.
yes, and they hardly lost many of their core players. So most of their top goal scorers, assisters last year were juniors. So I think they really have a shot of maybe even taking district championship this year. But obviously they have Amarillo to beat.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And then obviously Randall will be up there with West Plains girls on
Hmm.
the 4A side of things. Again, it's going to be really a big challenge for Randall. Uh, just I remember going through similar situation, going to state, and the next year we got knocked out in the first round because we thought we knew better. We thought we knew what it took, and so dealing with the target in your back and that ego is
Right.
challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. Rafa?
Uh, Kevin, any other teams you may think might kind of sneak up this year that you only say, hey, that's kind of been off the radar, and um, but you think, hey, you know what, these guys might surprise me. Normally they're like not a house. I know like Amarillo's been like a house.
Yeah, I think Borger girls uh, they've got a shot to make it a little bit deeper into the playoffs this year, and also Lubbock Monterey girls. That I'm really curious to see the first few games and see how they're looking this year because last year they were really surprising some of the local teams here. So they may have a shot there. And as far as boys, I think Pampa has been in a rebuilding process the last few years since Coach Aguillon left, but I think they're getting their gears turning and going.
Gotcha. So, Kevin, one of the things, well, actually, before I ask you that, what are some new things in terms of coverage, coverage in that area? What are some things maybe you're looking forward to? Some things you have in the works that you're planning for? Anything you can share with us on that front? Just that you're either already committed to, that you're going to do, or you'd like to do, things that we can look out for.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to really build off of last year and solidify it. Last year, I didn't start Yellow City Soccer until I think it was the third week of December, and so this will truly be my first time doing it since the very beginning, December 1st, and so uh, I'm trying to work on graphics a lot, being a little bit more having a graphic standard, a little bit more consistent with that, and so we'll continue uh, with the what's it called the goal of the week here in the Panhandle, and one of the things here for preseason that I will have for the student athletes specifically is a poll to see besides themselves which team uh, do they see winning the district championship.
Gotcha. Now, beyond that, I know. So, being I got to ask you this one, right? Being both native El Pasoans, any thoughts in terms of just reaching out, coverage, or additional stuff, or just your thoughts on some programs out of the El Paso area because they obviously overlap a good bit with the Panhandle. Thoughts on maybe some El Paso programs?
Uh, Not much. I mean, obviously there's some noise going on with Bel Air right now, and so that'll be interesting how they can move on from
Oh yeah,
that. Uh,
yeah.
Pebble Hills, they've been creeping up the last few years, and obviously my high school Eastlake has dropped off the last year or so, 2 years. But I have a lot of faith in Coach Whitner, so I can just never count Eastlake, knowing Coach Whitner and how competitive and he is just all around. And obviously, you always have El Paso High girls. Uh, they've been really, really close to taking that next step. So those are the few teams that I've kept a little bit of an eye on, but I've been trying to focus mostly here in the Panhandle lately.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a great choice of words with El Paso Bel Air, right? Making some noise is I guess a nice way of putting it. I don't know, but yeah, and of course, yeah, I agree. Some of those programs, El Paso High on the girls' side, and then East Lake, East Lake really on both sides. But as of late, they've traditionally been very strong on the boys' side, obviously. So yeah, Rafa.
I was gonna ask Kevin, what any idea as far as Panhandle realignment? I don't think about realignment for the Panhandle.
Uh, if I caught your question correctly, just my general thoughts on the possible realignment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
Yeah,
realignment. Yeah, for the Panhandle.
I just hope it stays the way it is. That I saw some noise about. I don't really care about the who moves from 4A to 5A, or obviously there was some noise that friendship might come down to 5A, but I just hope that it stays here in the Panhandle and that there's not the traveling to Abilene or Wichita Falls, because that I think that would really make the season for all these Panhandle teams a little bit harder.
Gotcha. Got one in here for you, Kevin. What about 5A programs? I don't know about. Yeah, well, he doesn't specifically cover Region 4, so sorry about that. But yeah,
Yeah,
any
sorry.
thoughts on that? So,
No, I would have to pull out my UIO alignment sheet to look at all those teams.
correct, correct. Yeah, yeah. For some reason, I thought I initially saw a Region 1, but yeah, not a Region 4. Gotcha. So yeah, thoughts on this particular year? What has you maybe beyond the Panhandle, just across the state, just lessons learned from last year, your first year getting Yellow City kind of up and running? What has you maybe going into now this year, just Texas high school soccer at large? What has you maybe the most excited?
Um, Still the D1 D2 split. Just I felt it was going to be a little bit easier to cover all that, and it was really a big challenge of predicting who was going to be D1 and D2. So now I know this year I need to be a little bit more aware and keep a closer eye out for our rival districts, and keeping better track on that. Uh, I'm also just, since I'm starting early, I'm getting to talk to a lot more coaches now. I spoke with Coach Kelly from Dumas today, and so just being able to hear their stories and his story coming to soccer from the Austin area, and making an impact in Dumas, not just as a soccer coach but as a football coach. Uh, that's what I'm really more excited about. Getting to know the coaches better and the kids better. Last year was just get the information out, and
Right,
and
right.
this year it's more about getting to know the players.
Yeah, yeah. Rafa, you got anything else for Kevin?
Just say what do you predict as far as 2026? What do you when it's all said and done? Do you think Randall maybe goes back or maybe a new team?
He's trying to answer that as diplomatically as possible without answering it. Right. I've tried asking him that already. No, Kevin, go ahead. Go ahead, man.
I don't. I'm not going to root against any of our teams. I think they're more than possible, and I think
Right.
they've
Right.
inspired more teams around here to believe in themselves. So I think the odds for Randall are less probable, but because of their trailblazing, they've made the odds for the Panhandle in general go up a little bit.
Gotcha. Now, is there any significant? Because usually we're pretty good about getting this by now, but every now and then there seems to be one or two that kind of sneaks in there. Have you gotten any word on any new programs, right? Maybe smaller scale, like 3As or even 2As that are trying to play this year. Have you gotten any word on that?
I have not. Well, I know Dalhart is working on creating a program, and so last year they participated in a few local tournaments and really with a JV team. But I've been meaning to reach out and check where in the process of that they are. Obviously, the last few years it's been Hereford and Plainview, and those are developing programs, and it's I'm really excited for those smaller schools, smaller communities, because I've seen how involved the community around them get with the program.
Right.
Perryton has a huge support from the whole community. Plainview has shown good support, and Hereford, they've worked so hard to get a program going, and the people from Hereford are really pushing them forward.
Gotcha. So as we start to wrap up here, Kevin, I don't want to keep you too long because we're definitely going to be we're gracious with your or appreciative of your time, and we know you're being gracious with it. I want to give you the opportunity. So for Rafa or I, or both of us, what questions, thoughts, anything you might have for us? No pressure.
I think I think one of the big questions for y'all being having a better lookout for the whole state. What is it that the Panhandle or even West Texas can work on to level the balance between the Metroplex area and us? Really, what are the steps that our students, athletes, and coaches need to take? Uh, Acknowledging the challenge in just geography as well and
Right.
culture.
Right. Well, from my perspective, I would say for starters, get you another Metroplex and put it in the Panhandle. I was just going to say, you're talking about, obviously tongue in cheek, but it's the Metro, it's DFW. It's just, you're talking about arguably either 1A or number two or the second biggest hotbed of talent in the country, arguably behind Southern California, particularly on the girls' side, right? But like I said, that can definitely be argued, but there's no denying just the power, the strength, the quality of coaching, the quantity, right, of talent in that particular area. It's pretty amazing, right? But from the Panhandle perspective, I would say, no different. It's Region One, right? You talk about division, or you talk about Region One, but you talk about West Texas, the Panhandle, West Texas, the Plains. The geography is probably the biggest, right? The biggest hurdle across the board in Region One, but also I think they're battle tested. I think we talk about, just like I talk about all the time with schools programs out of El Paso, come playoff time, they're road warriors. You know what I mean? They're just used to they're used to 6, 7, 8 hour bus trips, or in some cases if they have to fly, right, to play. So it's just a mindset, I think, and it's a particular style of play, right? It has its own unique style of play, I think, which complements it. So I think it's just you talked about it from the Panhandle perspective, just the level, one of the biggest, excuse me, one of the biggest, most I think underappreciated components of the Plains and the Panhandle is the quality of coaching that's there, right? Now the programs, right? Some may be more successful than others. Some may go on deeper runs than others, but I've seen it up close and personal, and in speaking with so many coaches, there's now you're starting to see a larger quantity of quality coaches in that region, in that area. So I think it's just it's continuity, it's consistency, and then as that player development continues, during the convention, I was talking with a couple of the coaches, and particularly the Midland Legacy girls coaching staff, right? And it came up on recruiting West Texas, recruiting the Panhandle. We started talking about the UTPB coach Garrett Cool, who's been on here before, who's been on the podcast before. He's involved with the what is it, West Texas Sting, I think it is, right? You have what is it, West Texas FC Dallas, I think. So I think when you start to see that further development with some of these strong club programs, I think it's going to pay dividends. But like I said, coupled with consistency and continuity, it still takes time. But I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thought 2 3 years ago, right, or right after COVID, that maybe you'd have a Panhandle team breaking through, winning state, and Canyon Randall is last year, right? So, which I think was a big part of that was the D1 D2 split because so many teams were afforded that extra opportunity to now break through, and you saw it in a great. It was a great final, them and Wimberley. So great final, Rafa.
I think the biggest thing, like Coach mentioned, but the coaches willing to just go out and educate themselves. Of course, that's something I advocate a lot. I got my you never stop learning, and I think then that's the other too. Being, you know, because Metroplex areas and even El Paso area, El Paso's really stepped up state champions there for soccer. I think the biggest thing is learning how to be able to develop players, being open minded and and then putting the work, helping, with your staff and so forth. That I think that's the kind of the biggest because even when I coach here in South Texas, it's like going against a border town, going against San Antonio and the Austin teams in the Valley teams. You had to step it up. You had to learn things, new techniques. I think that's probably the biggest advice. I know on education. You're always going to learn something new. That I've even me coaching club. I played so many different formations and stuff, and I started up with, like I said, I started with 3-5-2 and ended up with a 4-3-3 with a last match. It's just knowing how you can effectively use your players, put them at the right. That's what all the
Speaking of DFW, I'm watching this live feed. It's pretty fascinating. This live feed of all this traffic trying to go into the DFW airport for the Thanksgiving holiday. It's like it's kind of shocking, but yeah. Anyway, so we are season 6, episode 1 of Inside Texas High School Soccer. We have Kevin Gomez of Yellow City Soccer joining us. In case you're not familiar with Yellow City Soccer, Kevin launched it last December, right? Just because he thought it would be easy and it would be very little work, right? And
That's right.
he was quickly humbled. But what would you say in this process, Kevin? The did Does it continue to surprise you, like how much, like just work? I hate to say work because that's not the right word for it, but it's a labor of love and it's time intensive, right? Does it continue to surprise you? Even I get the toddler and all that stuff, but did you feel with getting some time under your belt now that do you feel like it would be a little bit not easier but simpler by this point?
Yes, I really thought just it would be easy to create a post and I would be done within 30 minutes creating a graphic and the narrative for it. But you want to give the best possible product to the public because you're representing the kids and the coaches and schools and communities, clubs. And so you start to realize it's not only just about getting stuff out there and getting the likes and the shares. It's about representing the Panhandle community uh, correctly, appropriately.
Love it, love it. Well said, well said. As we start to wrap up here, Kevin, I want to give you the opportunity. Any stoppage time, final thoughts, shout outs, thank yous, anything that's on your mind as it relates to the game, Yellow City Soccer. The floor is yours.
Yeah, no, obviously, I just want to thank you all for welcoming me to the Texas high school soccer community. Yeah, you guys have been lots of help. You guys and Lethal Enforcer. and just the Panhandle community. But obviously, I give thanks to God for giving me this small mission to make an impact in my community, and just thank my family um, and all the students in the Panhandle. They're great at just giving me that information that I need to create the content.
Yeah, awesome. He is Kevin Gomez of Yellow City Soccer. And one last thing, I did it again, Coach Kevin. I keep wanting to say Kevin, and Coach comes out. One last thing, Kevin. Tell us, share with us, where can we find Yellow City, all the social media handles, everything. Give us all that information.
Yeah, on X, we're 806 YC Soccer. And then we're also on Facebook and Instagram as Yellow City Soccer. Um, and you could always, if you anyone needs anything out there, you can always email me at yellowcitysoccer@gmail.com.
Awesome. Give us those one more time.
806 YCS, YC Soccer for X, and Yellow City Soccer for Facebook and Instagram.
Gotcha. Awesome. Great stuff. Kevin Gomez, Yellow City Soccer. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time, and look forward to working with you and having you on here quite a bit more this year. If anything, you can just use us as an excuse to get some relief from the toddler life, right? You can blame it on us. You can blame it on us. So, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, Kevin Gomez of Yellow City Soccer. Really appreciate him, and fellow El Pasoan too. I love the fact that he's humble enough to know that it's work. It's a process, but he's not afraid to ask questions. But he's done great work in the short amount of time that he was up there. So, and it's good to have an outlet in that particular part of the state as well. So, all right, this is season 6, episode 1 of Inside Texas High School Soccer. Again, I am your host, Coach Hector Cano, along with my lovely sidekick, Coach Rafa Castorena. I got Coach right this time. So before we begin, buddy, thoughts on, we didn't get the chance to jump into it because you were having some technical issues, but what are you watching? What are you listening to? What's the latest podcast, book, anything, or something you recently watched? What do you got? Are you muted? I think you might be muted.
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. I think lately I've been watching. Well, my show just came back. Curse of Oak Island, back new season. Hopefully they find the treasure this time.
Which one?
Curse of Oak Island.
Oh,
It's already
gotcha.
season whatever 11, 12.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
started a couple weeks ago, so back watching that. And then since lately I've been watching, also getting into just what's going on in San Antonio. And so also lately finishing up season with a FTC 210 with the supporter
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
much drummed the whole season, and we had a pretty good for the being the official supporter group now for SAC.
You're right.
Good good seasons. A lot of learning. We learned a lot of things. I think we have a lot planned for next season. I do have the Copa Tejas in my possession, so not here with me, but I have it back at home.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a trip carrying all that. So don't be surprised when you see the Copa Tejas at a Copa High School.
Right.
The
Awesome.
photo op.
Good deal. Good deal. So, and we do have to share. Obviously, I know Rafa's working through some audio issues, so bear with us as best as we can. He is on a remote, even though technically he's in the house he grew up in, but he is on a remote, and so he's trying to push through some audio issues there, audio difficulties. But yeah, for me, man, I started jumping into I think it's only 2 or 3 episodes in, but Landman season 2, Landman. And outside of that, it's been nonstop. It was prepping for the convention itself, and then just kind of little after action reports and notes and everything with the Tasco leadership, particularly President Rob Bledsoe. And convention was awesome, man. Convention was really awesome. Got to meet a lot of new people, talk with a lot of great coaches, and I think we did. Technically, it was, I think, 11 interviews, but it was officially 10. But but yeah, obviously had to battle some technical issues there. Had nothing to do with the had nothing to do with the with Moody Gardens. Had everything to do with just some of our equipment just deciding not to want to work, and then finally got it to work. But yeah, convention was great. It was awesome. Got to talk with a lot of coaches. Got a feel for what people are thinking, what people are looking forward to. The big thing is it's just the buzz of everybody's just ready to go. Everybody's ready to start playing, scrimmaging against somebody else, right? They're tired of seeing the same, their teammates. They're tired of scrimmaging against one another. So yeah, so it'll be here December 1st. We are days away. So again, Tasco was unique this year, just getting to experience it from the board perspective, right? The board of directors perspective, being on that board now. And really want to thank our COO in Jimmy Kruger, but as well as our president Rob Bledsoe, past president Jaron Shipman, Chris Besner, vice president Thad Goodling, and the rest of the regional directors for really giving me a warm welcome, which they already had even before, just from being at the convention. But I learned a lot. I got to see just another different angle, another different layer of the convention. So, and what I can tell you is this: is Texas high school soccer is in a good place. Is in a place where you got a lot of really good coaches who are even more importantly are unbelievable people who really care about the state of the game, the state of our sport, right? And they do a lot of little things that just go unnoticed. People aren't aware are happening, and they're getting it done. So to be a part of that, a small part of that, is pretty humbling. And I think everybody's got from the outside, everybody's got an opinion. But if they only knew, or if they only saw a lot of the things that happen behind the scenes, it'd be pretty humbling. So grateful to be back. Convention was awesome. Thank you to all the coaches that we had a chance to speak with. Thank you to all the coaches, the vendors, right? Everybody we had a chance, Hall of Honor inductees that we had a chance to interview as well, and look forward to another year of the convention next year in 2026. So, all right, we're going to go ahead. We're going to move on. We're going to press forward. We are going to start. We're going to start something a little different this year. We're going to begin with. Let's see if I can bring this guy up here. So we got. Here we go. So we're going to do a little something different this year. We got to start off. We're going to start with some we call hot takes and highlights, right? So Rafa picked about three. I picked about three, and then we have one bonus one that we're both going to speak a little bit about in terms of things that we wanted to mention that are either hot takes or we wanted to highlight for a particular reason. Rafa, go ahead, take the lead, buddy.
Yeah, so it's something we discussed earlier. These are my three hot takes for this year. Uh, Central regional sites. I know that's been discussed by some of the coaches. Um, I know they want to do something that kind of brings kind of back, because I know we've done regional finals before. Like I said, we've broadcast them audioly, when we had them at Blossom and so forth. This year now with the split, it kind of changed that, and they kind of did away with the central site for regional final. Could they possibly do something? Maybe have some host sites. Uh, I think a lot is going to come down to the logistics. If you have two El Paso teams, in the regional final, you don't want them to be playing up in Wichita Falls. So, like I said, you're gonna have have a facility that's that's gonna be worth the while. That's gonna be great for the atmosphere, great for the game, and great for the overall experience. So I think that's something that I think they want to. I think maybe a lot of coaches want to kind of looking into is playing on sites where they have to worry about that the restrooms are closed.
Right.
Hopefully that.
Right. And that was a big one, right? I
Mhm.
think so we applaud the fact that our players have so much more recovery time than before, right? So it's kind of got to take it with a grain of salt, obviously. But I think the bigger thing was particularly with regional finals, regional semifinals to a certain extent, but regional finals for sure. Many sites got caught off guard in terms of just the inadequacies of either being able to host, or just not prepared, right, for the size of crowds that showed up, right? So whether it be the bathroom thing, or how do you access a concession stand from, because some of these site locations, sometimes they're during soccer season, regular district play, they're used to maybe only having one side of a stadium open, or where the concession stand is central, versus when you have an entire stadium open or two sides of a stadium open, but there's still only a concession stand on one side, or restroom accessibility, what have you. The logistics, I think, was the big thing.
And then my second take was something we've discussed even over the summer. Competition integrity. What you saw, especially right before bracketology, uh, after the playoffs, you had a couple teams that had to forfeit, and because of rules violations. Um, Sometimes, and some of them were very questionable. Like I said, I was at a regional final. It was supposed to be at a regional. Well, I was at a regional final, expecting a really good game,
Right, right, right.
and then all of a sudden, I get a text saying, "Hey, this game's canceled because of an eligible player." Like, what the heck's going on here? And I had the other team that ended up winning because of the forfeit. They had no clue what was going on, and so I was kind of the go between, and had another guy that was scouting there for, I think, for week 3. Yeah, it was a lot of chaos because of those things, and I think you know the coaches. Not like I said, I know there's a lot of preparation, a lot of things. There's a lot of paperwork, especially when it comes to transfers and so forth. I think I think those details have to be, make sure you take care of those things as soon as possible. But also, even prior to playing the playoffs,
Correct.
I think there's needs to be a system before even, I think honestly there's got to be a gap. I think there should be a gap week before the first playoff game to iron out a lot of these things before, not wait to the last minute and say, hey, you know what, you're not. I think this happened to one of the Valley teams that, hey, you have to forfeit all these games. So guess what? You're not going to the playoffs. And then you have a team scrambling to make preparations, and
Right.
they thought they were going to be in it. Now
See,
they
now
are.
what would you say to the person though? So okay, so I'll play devil's advocate
Mhm.
with you here.
But
Is programs have basically the entire fall semester
mhm.
to be prepared with this, right? It's not like football or volleyball or cross country where boom, it's like right at the beginning, or even water polo, right? It's like you have plenty of time, and when in doubt, of course, submit the necessary paperwork, right? The I didn't know is not a
Yeah.
is not an excuse. I think people continue to be shocked when they hear that, but it's true. I mean, and that's where I feel that the accountability piece has to be the standard has to be upheld, just because the season starts in December. The season begins December 1st, and even then you still almost have another month, right,
Mhm.
before games count. So I mean, I don't know, that's for me, that's a tougher one, and that's why I ask you is like, what would you say to someone that says that?
I think you know some of this shouldn't be happening. Period. I mean, especially you have all that time in the fall. I think I know I've been in the past because I know with coaching we had to do our regular coaches meetings within the district and so forth. Um, I think that's something maybe they need to meet more frequent to maybe go over a lot of those things, but it also falls on the responsibility to, you know proper communication with your athletic director. I think your athletic director also needs to kind of be that one that's making sure that you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's and all that, making sure that, hey, this player is eligible and stuff before moving on. Besides, you still have that month gap before you start playing to try to avoid this. From and end up saying, hey, right before the playoffs or during the playoffs, oh, we have an eligible player. We didn't know he changed residencies or whatever, or grades or whatever, because he took a honors class or whatever. All that thing needs to be done by the fall, and then even at the latest, by the start of the season. That way there's no issue.
Right.
So I think there's got to be better communications from the ADs and coaches, but also they, meeting regularly throughout the fall, making sure, and also going on all the paperwork and doing audits, making sure that none of this, everything's squared away, really and ready to go, and that way
Mhm.
there's no surprises come in March.
Yeah. Now tell us a little bit more. We're going to open a can of worms here. Tell us about number 3 because this is the one that everybody wants and or a lot of people don't want any part of, but you insist on wanting to bring this one in. Thoughts on tell us about this VAR technology.
Yeah, this was actually brought up from one of our viewers about this, and they kind of felt that they were kind of cheated out of a state title because of a play that if there was VAR probably would have reversed it. And I mean, I think honestly, I think if high school football does, like I said, they do have the replay for the finals there. I honestly think they probably could do the same thing for the state finals for soccer because it's, like I
Yeah,
said,
now to be
it's
clear,
not.
you're talking about specifically the state final, right?
Yes, the state final only.
Correct.
No anything before that. State final. That's what high school football does. I think the same thing should be done for high school soccer, just for the integrity of the game. Like I said, not every referee is going to be perfect. Like I said, you kind of saw that with some of the texts I sent you from that Bernie and
Right,
that
right.
Bernie
Oh, yeah.
PSA North
Oh my
game.
god.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
Bernie
and then that
Champion.
Los
Yeah.
Fresnos and United game.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But
so
one thing, the interesting piece, because you're kind of seeing it. I've had this conversation with a
mhm.
couple of college coaches just recently, right during the NCAA tournament, is the review, not having the VAR technology, but even in the NCAA, this is the NCAA D1 tournament, right? They have VAR at their disposal, but the discretion 100% falls on the center, right? The center referee, right? Maybe it's particular input from one of their ARs, one of the assistant referees, but ultimately it's the center referees who's in charge at their discretion. If it's like, hey, I want to go review the or maybe it's the fourth official that maybe kind of gives them some additional data, some additional input. Hey, maybe you should go review this, right? But it's kind of this double-edged sword of yes, the VAR is there even for the NCAA D1 tournament, but it's completely at the discretion of the official if they're gonna even want to review it or not. So, but yeah,
I can see that happening. I think with the adopting what the NCAA does, so probably as a initial first step. Not going to be perfect, but at least it's something that the fourth official, the head official, maybe they feel, what, maybe I do need to look at it.
hmm
Having that option, I think that would be the right step in the right direction.
right, yeah, yeah, gotcha. So those are the three hot takes and highlights from Rafa. Now we get into mine, the three I wanted to go over. So first one, a bit of a hot take. I don't know. I called my shot last year saying that we would have at least one district. We'd have two state champions come out of one district. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that we will get two this year. So two different classifications, boys or girls, that we will get two sets of state champions that come out of the same district in two different, like I said, two different classifications or genders. So I'm gonna definitely call that shot now. I think we'll get two. All right, just the way input the data that I'm seeing. Some particular districts, kind of some lessons learned from now that there's 1 year under. People have 1 year under their belt of this format, right? The D1 D2 split. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, it was exciting stuff, though. I mean, you had, nine. We talked about it, right? 9 of our 12 state champions were first-time state champions this past year, which we knew some more programs were going to be in the mix a little bit more this past year, the first year of the D1 D2 split. But I don't know if anybody thought that we would have nine of our 12 champions would be first-time state champions. So pretty cool to see. Highlight number 2 is the question: Will Salina and their quest for number 5, one for the thumb, as Rafa calls it, with their new coach, right? On the girls' side, making their adjustments. They obviously have a ton of talent coming back. How do they adjust in what could be? We'll know this for sure officially February 2nd, but it's largely believed to be Salina's last hurrah and foray as well. But will this be their state title number 5 as they go for their 5th consecutive state title? They've already rewritten the record books in winning 4 state titles. Now, can they win a 5th? That is a great question. And then my third one, kind of echoing a little bit, kind of countering your VAR technology a little bit with the state final, state playoffs. Something that I was big on in discussing at the convention was, hey, let's petition, let's put it out there. Can we put it out there to the UAL Legislative Committee to why not bring back the golden goal or bring it into the state playoffs, just for the state playoffs, right? I think if you've seen it, you're seeing it right now again in the NCAA tournament, and it's pretty phenomenal, right? It's a pretty awesome thing to see, and very very rarely are there opportunities for our sport where it can be an instant winner, a walk-off winner, right? And so I think that's a great one there that I kind of wanted to kind of a bit of a hot take. Some people may agree or disagree, but it doesn't matter. I think it's an awesome thing. I think it's just the level of it just adds to the level of excitement of state playoff soccer. Thoughts on any of these, Rafa?
Yeah, the multiple state champs. I was gonna ask you any idea who you think maybe for what district you
Somewhere
believe?
between District 1 and 30, maybe somewhere in there, probably.
I think mine would probably
I'm
be maybe
I'm kind of
maybe
zeroing in, but yeah, I'm not. I
maybe
haven't
District
really,
5 or 6.
I haven't really gone in that detail yet to where I'm going to officially call my shot within a particular district. I know we saw it in District 6, 6A last year on the girls' side.
Yeah, the Salina's quest for 5. It's gonna be. I think they prepare. The one thing about them, they prepare well.
Hmm.
They don't shy away from playing anybody. That's something that I keep on preaching. If you want to take that next step, you want to win state titles, go challenge yourself. And that's what they do. Like they're not afraid to play 6As. They've beaten some 6As. A lot of teams should take a page from that.
Yeah.
Shying away because it's going to prepare you because some of the finals that they've faced some adversity.
Oh, yeah.
They
Oh, yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
that's just and that's good check right there for the ladies there because they're able to pull something, pull out wins and stuff. And I know they're gonna have a target on the back. I know like Frisco Panther Creek's one team that kind of been a little thorn. That's with them. Like I said, it's always a good match
Hmm.
between those two. And then I do agree with the golden goal. I think it'd be nice to have that the playoffs instead of playing all the way to. I mean,
Yeah.
do you still go to PKs or do you wait till until someone scores?
Yeah, I mean, if nobody wins, I mean, if there's no golden, you play out overtime as
Yeah.
is, right? But if there's a goal in overtime, that's your winner, right? That's your walk off. Otherwise, you still go to penalty. Nothing changes other than if a goal is scored in, obviously it would be tied at the end of regulation, hence the overtime. But if somebody scores a goal in either of the overtime periods, it's a walk off. It's a winner.
I think there was a game last year that someone scored a goal the first overtime, and then the other team scored like four. The other team scored 4 or 5,
Yeah.
something like that. So
Yeah.
that would probably prevent that.
Yeah, I told the story too of at the convention. I told the story of my first year at MAC at MacArthur. Right, we're in our great playoff area round playoff match versus Liberty Hill at Liberty Hill on how all that played out. It was a tough one, right? It was a tough one, but I also feel like, could you imagine, right? You go to overtime, and in the first 5 minutes, golden goal is scored. That's just kind of that's saving 15 plus minutes of tired legs, right? And I feel that, and a lot of people want to kind of argue the whole why can't they play out the whole 20. I've always been of the mindset of you had 80. You already had 80 and you didn't settle it, right? So I'm of the mindset that the further and further you get into extra overtime period, just you start to lose that argument of it wasn't fair or this or that. Yeah, that's just me. And I'll tell my team that, I'll tell my players that every time. It's like we lost that right when we allowed it to go into overtime, right? We had 80 minutes just like the other team. So I don't want to beat a dead horse on that, but yeah, as far as Salina goes, I think with Coach Cody Moles, I think he'll have them ready. He has a track record. He has a great history, great track record. He knows that coming from the boys' side too, that'll be an interesting dynamic as well, right? How they adjust to him with Coach Adams, with the departure of Coach Adams. So yeah, it'll be a fun one. So our bonus, our bonus hot take and highlight: realignment chaos. I mean, this is a podcast in itself, but just thoughts on this one, Coach. Any particular one thing, one thing that you're most looking forward to in all this chaos that's going to come out on February 2nd from our next 2026 to 2028 realignment cycle?
I think what I'm looking to see if they're willing to split and the actual districts in D1 and D2. I think the biggest complaint we heard last year was there were some teams that should have been in the D1 because of their student population, but playing in D2. And I think I'm wondering if that's going to happen. But also the other case is what teams are going to be moving where. There's some that they're right on the brink of 5A, 6A, who's moving up, who's moving down, and also how is that going to be a domino? Is that going to be a domino effect as far as kind of like the balance of power of some of the teams? Um, when it comes to especially in the regions, there's one team that kind of been you mentioned Salina. If they move up to 5A, so what happens? The balance of power in Region 2, how does that shift? Things like that.
Right, right, right. Yeah, as far as just realignment, I think it's just I'm here for all of it. Just the chaos, all of it. I mean, ask me after I see what my district looks like. Ask me what my thoughts are after that, because I could have a very different sentiment after that. But yeah, no, I just think it is what it is. There's so much beyond our control. I was telling somebody at the convention, I've probably seen about 2 to 3 dozen different people tell me they know what the what the cutoff is going to be for 5A, what the cutoff is going to be for 4A, and all that tells me is that people don't know. I mean, it's don't get me wrong. There's a science to it, and you can guess all day, but at the end of the day, that's just for me. It's the fun part, but it's a lot of wasted energy in terms of things that we don't control. Trying to guess what select people in a room in what direction they want to go. I prefer to see the aftermath right when it comes out on. That's what I like to see. So. But yeah, that is going to do it for our hot takes and highlights. Rafa, appreciate you, buddy. So we move on here. Here we go. Scroll down here. So, all right. So we're going to move on. So we're going to talk about now our UIL key dates here. So let me see if I can here we go. Maybe slightly minimize that a little bit. So as we all know, so next Monday, December 1st, our season begins. We're officially in season. Key dates. First day of scrimmages, December 12th. First day of games, December 29th. And then the always controversial, it's like, hey, is this a scrimmage or is this a game? Right. So this is the last year, right, given with UIL legislation that effective August of 2026, meaning next season, not this season, any games after the first day of games, there will be no scrimmages. It won't matter if you or the other team that you would like to scrimmage has not played yet. Once games are live and official, they are live and official. So that is one of those things that I think that is way overdue. It just takes the headache, the guessing game, the frustration, the confusion out of it. So I'm glad to see that Tasco President Rob Bledsoe was able to make that argument before up in Austin. All right. So then we fast forward. Obviously, district play. We all know the first 3 weekends in January is your heavy showcase and tournament weekends across the state of Texas, with a lot of great matchups, a lot of great events. Then we see district play followed by March 17th district certification, and then we start getting into the area rounds. Coach, your thoughts on these initial dates as we start looking at particularly the playoff dates?
Yeah, I guess not much time as far as after the district certification, and like I said, we have some teams playing up to that point. Not a lot of time as far as for preparation for that. I think that's one I would like to see maybe push back a little bit, or even district certification. I think it needs to be a little bit sooner to give maybe like a 5 day gap between that and the by district round. Just that way. I know for our case, when we do bracketology, we're still missing missing teams on the brackets and so forth. But I think that's maybe maybe that's something UIL maybe needs to look at is cutting off the districtification a little bit. I guess like a 5 day gap between that and the by district round. But like I said, what I think the advantage for this past year was the recovery time. Especially the regional finals
Oh yeah,
were
no doubt.
a lot
No,
better. Than playing like after 24 hours, and especially if you played at extra time and went to a shootout, you're gassed,
right.
especially playing up till midnight.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think that's where they got it right.
and I think we mentioned this last year, right? Was that what kind of set the precedent for this was ironically the 2021 season coming out of our first season trying to kind of get back to normal, right? After COVID, uh, where there was no true regional tournaments, the setup was completely different. That kind of set the stage for the format that we saw last year, and we saw great games. We saw great games, and we fast forward through the regional semifinals, regional finals. This is still a lot of games being played in not a lot of time, guys. So that's something to think about, right? But you look at the state semifinals, April 2nd through the 4th, and then the state championships, Thursday, April 9th through Saturday, April 11th in Georgetown at Birkelbach Field. But I think so. How they figure out, particularly the state right setup, right? That's going to still tricky. Don't know the feedback yet. Haven't seen the feedback yet from volleyball. Volleyball kind of tried to was was a bit of the pilot program for something that they're trying out. Have not seen the feedback on that, but the state championships. One thing that can't get lost on people was, excuse me, was attendance was higher and more tickets were sold in this past season in less games, right, than ever before. So something to think about. And I had plenty of these conversations with Coach Edward Venegas from Georgetown, who's the host site, right? And it was pretty amazing. And they host top notch, right? What they do there. But it was pretty amazing to see just the record crowds there, the attendance in less games. Your thoughts on that, Coach?
Yeah, I think now with I think each day dedicated to each classification just kind of make things better. I know in years past, sometimes you had 5 games squeezed in a day, and one of them was like a final, and they kind of got lost in the shuffle. It didn't get much of attention. At least here, it showcases each classification. You have the 4A finals, then you have the 5A day, and then you have the 6A day, and um, it just allowed, like I said, a lot of preparation also for people to kind of the logistics, because in the past, you weren't sure if you made the final or not. Hotel arrangements and so forth. It was kind of up in the air. At least here you can plan a lot better going to this. To the one game for the
Right,
title.
right,
Like I
right.
said, it was just a lot better.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. All right, we move on. So, all right. So, a couple of things that we wanted to discuss here is, and Coach, I'm going to let you dive into this a little bit more. So, our coverage will consist of largely two components, right? With the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable, along with other San Antonio outlets covering some of these from the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable perspective. I'm gonna let Rafa speak to this a lot more, along with the greater San Antonio and Austin area. They will cover this select area, whereas the 50/50 podcast and therefore Inside Texas High School Soccer will be more specific to statewide content. Coach, tell us a little bit more about these.
Yeah, so I know for the roundtable, like I said, we have some upcoming. We feature local tournaments. I think some of the big ones we have, like especially here in San Antonio, or like the Southwest Showcase, the Northeast ISD, Church Cibolo, um, SAISD. So we got some good tournaments, and then game coverage. Like I said, I'll try to, like I said, even though I'm not retired yet, I try to make out of the best I can to cover some kind of the key games, but also we like to spread the love. We don't stick to the favorites all the time. We want to showcase, different programs, different perspectives and so forth. That give the players, their roses. Like I said, for the coverage there. Power rankings is something like I said, I really kind of think things through a lot. So I'm already kind of thinking and ideas and all that. And then coaches spotlights. We love to hear from the players and the coaches. You know, what makes them tick. What drives them as far as being part of the sport and so forth. And then our Cinderellas and dark horses. Who do we think is going to surprise people, or who may win it all? And then our district picks. I know me and Steve have done this in the past. Uh, Pick who's going to win the districts, who's going to make the playoffs, and then our kind of our coup de grace, the bracketology. The big show, like who's going to end up. I think it made things a lot easier now that we don't have to worry about. We can actually literally go all the way to the state title, because in
Yeah.
the years past you only went up to the regional final. So
Right.
this now we were out. This was, I think this is the first year we were able to pick a state champion.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know, have to, because we knew who was going to play what
Right.
first
Right.
all the way to the very end.
Yeah. The coup de grace. I like that. Yeah, it was pretty awesome, pretty amazing. I know Harry was pulling, poor guy, he was pulling his hair out with trying to set up these, because there was just that many more brackets, right? But no, he does a great job. Always tough to nail it 100% in terms of school name or logo or something, but he does such a great job. So lucky to have him be part of the team. So shout out to Harry. Yeah, yeah, great stuff on all of these. Really looking forward to the roundtables coverage of all of these across San Antonio and select area of Austin as well. So, all right, and then we move on. So, and if I could, there we go. So, Texas, we look at the state as the at large state of Texas, and what Inside Texas High School Soccer, the 50/50 podcast, will bring you, and the podcast team. So, upcoming key tournaments, which we'll discuss in upcoming episodes, the watch list. So, this is something that we're unveiling, that we're debuting for the first time. We will debut it in episode 2 of Inside Texas High School Soccer, which we will have more on that in a bit. But, Coach, tell us from your perspective, and if you need me to chime in, let me know. But tell us a little bit more about the watch list. This is pre-RPI. This does not necessarily mean they are programs on your RPI. But tell us about the watch list.
Yeah, the watch list is for maybe teams that we kind of feel that you need to really keep an eye on. Not necessarily they may, there may be some that could be on the RPIs. There's some that that could end up breaking through. Like I said, I had some teams last year that kind of broke through that normally haven't been on there. But like I said, also you have your usual suspects. But I think this is a unique thing that we're doing with the watch list. Who to kind of, for the other teams to keep look over their shoulder, like going into the season. Keep an eye on. Could be teams that could contend to get in the playoff spot, winning a district title, or making some deep runs. And, I give like an example, like the Liberty Hill boys. They made a deep run last year. Nobody expected them. Like I said, I'm sure
Right.
now they could be on in that watch list. How they gonna, what's in store for them this coming year, especially now with the split with the new school. How are that affect? It's gonna be fun putting that.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm going to be looking. So, what the watch list will consist of so it'll be 10 teams on the boys' side, 10 teams on the girls' side. So, men's and women's side, 10 teams total, all classifications identified by Rafa on his watch list on programs to keep an eye on, right? Programs to potentially they could be, I don't know, they could be dark horses, they could be heavy favorites, just to keep an eye on. So excited for that one. Again, that will be coming in episode 2 of Inside Texas High School Soccer. The Champions Review. It's one of my favorite parts, right, of what we do here. This we will also discuss in episode 2 of Inside Texas High School Soccer, where we basically look back. It's the last time we review last year's champions. And I'm excited because this year it's the first time we'll do it in this new format with 12 champions instead of 6. So and we'll look at our 12 defending state champions, and then we'll discuss who we like as the favorite to repeat and who maybe has their work cut out for them. So very lots of fun to discuss that. The RPI, everybody should know that by now. The Rafa Power Index. There is no other power ranking like it, where we essentially, Rafa looks at his top 15 on the boys side and the girls side across all classifications. So it's a true pound for pound power ranking system. And then we also identify what would be our next 5N. So a total of 20 programs across the state for both the boys and girls programs. Our regional overview, that will be sprinkled in over the next couple of episodes of Inside Texas High School Soccer, where we'll go across the regions, and we're not going to go through district by district per se, but we're going to highlight a couple of key districts, a couple of the key district races, some programs to keep an eye on as well. Always fun doing those and being able to pick those apart. Then our teams of the week and game ball awards, we will look at those. We'll bring those in periodically as well, and just another opportunity to recognize our great student athletes across the state of Texas. The return of our new installment of what we introduced last year, our hidden gems and dark horses. That was a great one, because this ties into the watch list, kind of sets the stage for maybe some of these, right? So it could be Cinderellas, it could be hidden gems, it could be dark horses, it could be just your overall surprises. But that's always a fun one. Unveiling that list will come later in the high school soccer season. And then, of course, come February 2nd, probably will be a special episode, just straight realignment mayhem, because we all know what awaits, lots of chaos. And then, of course, as we talked about the what was it? What did you say, Coach? The coup de grace, right?
The
Bracketology and playoff
the imitated bracketology, because I think someone on the football side has been watching us for a few years.
Yeah.
They do their own.
So that does it. That will do it in terms of what we will look to cover for the upcoming season of Inside Texas High School Soccer. Rafa, thoughts as we start to wrap up here? Your takeaways, what has you most, can you believe, season 6, man? This in the series that started completely by accident, and yet here we are, season 6 now. It's evolved. We have a long way to go, but I'm excited. Here we are on the eve of Thanksgiving, right? And very much so approaching the eve of the 2025-2026 Texas High School Soccer season. Thoughts?
Well, seems like Christmas is coming early, December 1st. It's the start of the season. I know all the players and all the coaches are very eager. I know you're very eager because with your new endeavor there at Canyon. And then also some of the new programs too, and some of the new the coaching changes and so forth. I'm sure they're very eager to work. And also the state champions, what have they done through this off season to coming to Monday. How are they going to be able to defend their title? They know they have the target on the back. What change? What are the expectations? Things like that, and what's up? Play tryouts. You're going to do what systems? What did the biggest thing is a lot of coaches? What have you learned? The end of the season till December, up. What have you learned? And
Yeah.
what are you going to do to implement that to make your team a lot better, to make your players be more successful?
Yeah.
Have you learned from those mistakes? And it's just those things that I said. It's like I said, ready to unwrap and see what you can do and see what happens at September.
Right. Yeah. It's been it's almost here. It's almost here. Thank you. Before we go, got a reminder. All the plugs, right? So on Twitter X, Twix as we call it, at 50_50 pod. On Instagram at 50_50 podcast, and on our YouTube channel, the 50_50 podcast. Go on there, like, rate, subscribe. If you think we're good, send me a message. If you think we stink, send that message to Rafa. I always say that, right? Every time, all right? But really want to thank all of our listeners, all of our supporters, being listened to over 300 strong across all of our platforms, 350 actually across all of our platforms, being listened to in different parts of the state, to include the Panhandle, West Texas, El Paso, Central Texas, Austin, San Antonio, obviously, DFW Metroplex, Katy, up in the Piney Woods. It looks like out in Beaumont as well, and the Valley as well, Laredo or Brownsville and Harlingen, as well as Laredo and Killeen. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening. Can't stress it enough. I'm excited, man. I'm excited for so many reasons. Excited to kick off another year. Excited to kick off another season, and a first with with my girls at Canyon, who have me very excited. And they're awesome, and hoping they don't want to kill me by the end of the season, right? So, but yeah, excited for that as well. So, Coach, we start to wrap up. Before I forget, remember, so we will be back. Episode 2 of season 6 of Inside Texas High School Soccer will return this Friday, 2 days from today at, what did we say, Coach? 4 p.m.? We're good with 4 p.m.?
Yeah, about 4 p.m.
Yeah, 4 p.m. because we got places to be by about 6:30, right? On Black Friday. So we bring you the pre-Thanksgiving edition today, and we will bring you the Black Friday edition of Season 6, Episode 2 of Inside Texas High School Soccer this Friday, 4 p.m.-ish, right? It's always fun when you're going live. But we will be here. Make sure you join us. Again, like, rate, subscribe. Send us your comments. Send us your questions, and we will be sure to discuss them on here. Rafa, let's get ready to wrap up. Final thoughts.
Just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Everybody be safe out there. Wherever you're traveling to. Keep your family close, and just looking forward to another great. Like I said, it's already season 6, for another great season. I think we're expecting a lot of great things for 2026. There's some excitement already kind of buzzing around, not only with the realignment, but also, there are some teams, like I said, on the radar that they're ready to go, to want to prove themselves and end up want to win that state championship and get to Georgetown. So looking forward to that.
Absolutely. And my final thoughts, I kind of plugged it in earlier, right? Just big shout out from the coaches to our Hall of Honor inductees to vendors, everybody had a chance to speak with and interview as well at the Tasco convention this past weekend. It was awesome. Really appreciate your time. And and then of course we talked about the board, president, vice president, past presidents, regional directors, everybody. Just a big thank you. Really appreciate you. Humbling what the Tasco convention is becoming from year to year, just from the growth, the machine that it is, the structure that it is, just the quality of clinicians. It cannot be said enough. Or from our president, Rob Bledsoe, to our COO and Jimmy Kruger. They continue to outdo themselves every year, and it's not just big names, but it's just quality top to bottom. So, which is awesome, right? It's awesome. And I think it just reflects in terms of when you see it. The best part of the Tasco convention is just seeing more and more coaches continuing to arrive, willingness to learn, the humility to learn, but also just the pride that you see in them, that they take in being Texas high school soccer coaches. I love it. I think it's awesome. And for me, it's the best part. So that is it. That is going to do it. Rafa, season 6, here we go, man. So see you back on Friday for episode 2. Again, like, rate, subscribe. Hit that live bell, that notification button, so you don't miss any of our episodes, since 99.9% of everything we do is live. So really appreciate you for our supporters and our listeners. Thank you so much. You are the reason why we continue to do it. For my co-host, Rafa, I am your host, Coach Hector Cano, and you know what to do. Until the next time, keep downloading and keep listening. You've been listening to the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Help us continue to grow by liking, rating, and subscribing on all major podcast platforms. And don't forget to follow us on X at 50_50pod, on Instagram at 50_50 podcast, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50 podcast. Until the next time,